This is Josh Mathews, and you are in the Wrestling Epicenter.
You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com. Namaste, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Interactive Wrestling Radio, right here on WrestlingEpicenter.com. Today, we bring you an interview with the GOAT, the Impact Wrestling Grand Champion, and one of the hardest working guys in the entire professional wrestling industry. The guy's everywhere working for Impact Wrestling constantly, and I really appreciate his hard work and his time. Joining us for the second time, depending on how you score it, though I think you can argue he's been on a lot more if you include the Impact Wrestling conference calls, which we also have housed at WrestlingEpicenter.com. and InteractiveWrestlingRadio.com. It is, of course, Josh Mathews. What a great interview. I wanted to say this before we get to the interview. The gentleman that Josh is sounds so much happier and more excited and more energized in this interview than he did in our previous one. And I think a lot of that has to do with the launch of the Global Wrestling Network and Twitch, because there's new exclusive content that Impact Wrestling is putting out there, not just a TV show on Pop TV, though that is obviously the focal point of the company, but there is unique content constantly being put out there by this company. It is a rejuvenized company, and I am so happy to see it as a fan who's been here literally since day one. So kudos to Josh Mathews on all his hard work. I appreciate Impact Wrestling granting us this interview, and Josh, of course, for stopping by and being part of it. I also want to thank ImpactWrestling.com for posting our Rosemary interview on their front page. I almost fell off my chair when I went to ImpactWrestling.com and I saw Rosemary Speaks to Wrestling Epicenter. Man, my mind was blown. So thank you again to ImpactWrestling.com for helping spread the word about what we do here. We sure do appreciate what you guys give us each and every week on television and, of course, on the other platforms, as previously mentioned. I encourage everybody to check out WrestlingEpicenter.com. We have lots of great new features popping up each and every day. Explore. You can get lost in the amount of pure information we have on there. I want to thank my lovely wife, Caroline, for constantly working on the website. It is a labor of love, and we certainly love doing it. That's all for me, guys. No big hoopla today. I'm just going to let the interview stand alone and speak for itself. Thank you again to everybody who helped this come to pass, and enjoy listening to our exclusive sit-down interview with the one and only Josh Mathews. Enjoy.
What's up? It's the mayor of Slamtown, Johnny Impact, and you are in the Epicenter.
Some metal, show a little skin, looking for some trouble if she can get in. Come with me, I know where to go, I know what you like, I know how you want it. Give it the gate, to turn up the master. She wants more, give it to master.
Available now in the archives at InteractiveWrestlingRadio.com. It's our exclusive interview with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
So no, we respect each other in the ring and what we've done, and there's a respect there. And even though if he would say something bad, he kept coming back to that respect thing. People had told me, but there's a respect there. But it's business. Business is business with me and him.
This classic 2005 interview can be heard at WrestlingEpicenter.com and InteractiveWrestlingRadio.com.
Hey, this is the original player from the Himalaya, Sanjay Dutt, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview. I hear it all the time.
Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio. On the Newsmaker line with us once again is the GOAT, the greatest announcer of all time, the one and only Josh Mathews. Mr. Mathews, are you with me?
I'm here. Thanks for having me.
It's really a pleasure to have you on. Like I mentioned, we've had you on before, and a lot's been happening since then. So let's jump right to it. The biggest change is the new creative force for Impact Wrestling, which is evident when you watch the show already. Thoughts on the impact pun intended, that Don Callis and Scott D'Amore are having on the company?
I think the impact that Scott and Don are having is tremendous. I think it's helping the forward momentum that Impact has needed for quite some time. You know, there's been so many false starts over the last few years. January of last year sort of came in with the rush, and by the middle of the year, things were changing and sort of disintegrating downward, and that's not what anyone wanted. I mean, everyone wanted Impact to succeed and has wanted Impact to succeed. When Scott D'Amore came back as a part of the creative team early last year, I was excited. I get along very well with Scott, and we had lots of talks about Impact and what the company could be doing and where it could be going. And I think when you look at it now, and Scott and Don are in place, and the creative is the way it is, and Sanjay Dutt deserves so much credit for what he does on the creative side of things, and the way it's all come together, and just the way everyone's been working so hard to just make sure that you're seeing exactly what you should be seeing, and things are happening exactly the way they should be. And you know, before things would sort of fall by the wayside, and you know, I think at this point a lot of us are not letting that happen. You know, there's things that, you know, there's extra work that has to be done to make sure that the right messages are being sent. The messages are being sent throughout all platforms. You know, something gets mentioned on social media, we do our best to make sure that it gets mentioned in the show. And if that means going back and changing things, you know, at the last second right before the show has to go, then, you know, that's what we have to do. So the long answer to your question is I'm extremely excited about the future of where we could be going, and just the positive momentum. The ratings have been up throughout the month of March. We've sold more VIP packages for Redemption with still a few weeks to go than we did for January. So things are looking in a great direction. We're doing great with our ticket sales for WrestleCon, so everything is looking like it's going to succeed, and that's a good opportunity for all of us to sort of take a collective breath.
Exactly. And another thing that I take a collective breath as a fan of this company, literally since its inception 16 years ago, is the platforms now that you have, the Global Wrestling Network and Twitch. You guys are creating more content than you had been in recent years, and it's unique content, and it's different content than you guys have ever done before. How much has that helped the expansion of Impact Wrestling?
Well, it's great because when you look at the content that is being created, it's just not being lost anymore. Things like One Night Only are not being lost anymore. They're being thought of. They're being, you know, this is 3 hours of primetime real estate. One Night Only is broadcast on Global Wrestling Network. So the packages that you've seen for One Night Only, created by our production staff in Nashville, Eric Tompkins created that. And it's just something that is so cool, and you're proud to look at that and say, this is a show that I want to watch. And it makes people feel like this isn't just another throwaway thing that Impact is doing. They're thought out. The last One Night Only that was done was March Breakdown, and I was there in Windsor with BCW, and I thought it was an incredible show. And you have so many incredible talents there that are now being exposed to a worldwide audience, like guys like RJ City and Stone Rockwell, and names that, you know, you don't maybe know right now, but 5 or 6 years from now, those are going to be the household names of Impact Wrestling if everything goes according to plan. And, you know, GWN, Twitch, so you have Global Wrestling Network, and you have the One Night Onlys, and then you have these monthly events on Twitch, the last one being Last Chancery, and then, of course, we'll be live on Twitch April 6th for WrestleCon. We're going to announce the main event for WrestleCon, Impact versus Lucha Underground, tomorrow on Facebook Live at noon Eastern. And it's going to be an incredible match when that gets announced. And, you know, there's just all this positive forward momentum. We know that in May, the next One Night Only will be Callis Combat, and that'll be done in California. And that gets taped this Saturday and will air on GWN on May 11th. So there's just all these things that are, as opposed to, you know, I remember a few years ago, somebody had posted a story about Impact Wrestling forgot that they had a pay-per-view on, and the One Night Only went up, and maybe we did forget, or maybe it just got on one of those throwaway shows, but that's not going to happen in 2018 and going forward.
Absolutely, and that's kind of what I was getting at, is that it just seems there's more emphasis on the, and not only more content, but also more emphasis on the content other than what's on Pop TV. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing. You mentioned the Lucha Underground show. It's pretty much known that if I have a one slot, it's Impact Wrestling, and my 2 slot is Lucha Underground. It's going to be a heck of a thing to see the 2 major companies that I still watch in this day and age go at it. Who's going to be calling the action? Any idea yet?
I don't know. I'll be there, and if I'm called upon to call the show, awesome. If not, there's other things that I can be doing down there as well. I would love to call the show. I worked with Matt Stryker for many years, so that would be an easy thing to do. But if that's not the decision that's made, then all good. There's other things that will occupy my time when we're down there. We're going to be live on Twitch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and part of Sunday, like 48 hours of original programming and content that, if you're not in New Orleans, we can virtually put you in New Orleans through our Twitch live stream.
That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to ask about another announcing situation. Obviously, you're now calling the action with a guy you mentioned already, Sanjay Dutt. You guys seem to have already developed a chemistry that maybe wasn't there with the Pope. At least I didn't feel like it was there to this level. How is Sanjay taken to being an announcer, and do you think that there is more chemistry there than in previous partnerships you've had?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to work with probably more broadcast partners than anyone in wrestling, from 13 years in WWE to here at Impact, and the people that I've worked with here. I really enjoyed working with Pope. I thought we had a good chemistry, but with Sanjay, it's different because Sanjay is completely dialed into what we're doing every day. And that's different from anyone that I've worked with in Impact Wrestling, because Sanjay knows exactly what's going on. Maybe I want to say more than I know what's going on, and I'm dialed into this product 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's just great to have somebody there that also knows, what we're trying to accomplish, that it's about the talent in the ring. And I mean, first and foremost, for me, and hopefully, this one true spirit guide of Matt Sidell, give that a chance, but then get an opportunity to, talk about the guys that are in the ring. And, these are the people that we're going to have to rely on in the future. And they need to be front and center in front of everyone and talked about and, described to our viewers so they can understand who these characters are going forward. I think Sanjay's done an incredible job. It was just thrust upon us. Everyone sort of knows the situation that we were put in. And I think that, typical, not typical Impact, but, something happened and we had to adjust. And I think that we adjusted and made the right call. The right play was called. And I think that if it's a long-term play, then Sanjay and I could be a great broadcast team.
I hope so. So I can't believe we've got this far in the interview, and I haven't mentioned that I'm speaking to the new Grand Champion of Impact Wrestling. Thoughts on being that champion? And I remember back when the belt was invented, we were given by Impact Wrestling an interview with Aaron Rex, and he was talking about the way that belt was going to unfold. I'll kind of give you the same kind of question I gave to him, a year and a half ago. Is that going to be a continuing championship in Impact Wrestling?
Well, I'm going to be completely transparent and honest with you. If JB doesn't leave Impact Wrestling, I probably have a different answer for you than I do right now in the present and where we are. I quickly want this to be something that, it doesn't last forever. I'm much more comfortable as the play-by-play announcer of the wrestling show that gives me an opportunity to talk about the talent that we have. That's my strength, my strongest suit, if you will. And this was going to be an opportunity to try something new, to really give it some time to see how it would work out. It's something that I thought of last year when we got done with the storyline. I thought it was so much fun. I went over to India and I gave someone a swanton bomb in Mumbai and loved every second of it, and talked to the creative team at that point and said, yeah, this is something that I would like to do, assuming that the broadcast side of it was going to be figured out. And then when, the other shoe dropped, it was like, okay, we quickly need to get this back to where it needs to be. And honestly, I think to help Impact the most that I can, it needs to be with a microphone in front of me for 2 hours talking about the talent in the ring.
Excellent. Now, you are the spiritual leader of Matt Sidell. That was a great unveil on last Thursday's Impact. Are you a yoga guy? I mean, I never really got that vibe from you. Is that something that is actually in you?
I think if we had more time for this to play out, I kind of look at my character, that guy, as he's kind of a scam artist, right? He's sort of, Matt Sidell was the double champion, and as the spirit guide, I could sort of help and maybe manipulate, and maybe just adjust to, whatever the case may be. If Matt Sidell was into MMA, maybe I'm an MMA expert. Maybe there's someone who comes along that's super into, motocross, and maybe my guy can become a motocross. You know what I mean? Like, he's adaptable, he's a chameleon, and he tries to, whatever the situation is, tries to be a part of it and make himself the best at it.
Excellent, excellent. All right, we only got a couple more questions to go, then I'll let you go for today. I appreciate your time. I hope it don't step on any toes by asking this, but seen a lot of Impact people appearing on another product of recent times, one of which being your lovely wife, Madison Rayne, was part of the Ring of Honor, Women of Honor tournament. On the pay-per-view last Friday night, we saw Austin Aries appear, and Johnny Impact in a recent interview kind of suggested that he would follow Austin Aries to Ring of Honor to chase down the Impact Championship. It seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe there's a little bit of a bridge there between the two companies. Am I right? Am I wrong?
I think that the opportunity exists for something like that to happen. As it relates to the talent, my wife is a free agent, and she gets to go and wrestle for Ring of Honor, or go down to NXT, or go to, come back to Impact. When she got called to do the Windsor show in BCW, it was fun for her. She got to go up there and see some friends, see some faces, say hello, have a great match with a future knockout named Giselle Shaw. That match was on the pay-per-view, and it's fun for her. She likes that. But on the other side of it, she would also like to have a place that she can call home, a place that she could compete regularly and know that that's where she's going to build a legacy, or continue to build upon her legacy that she's built at Impact. So as a talent, you're building your brand, but you also want to build, the company that you work for. So I think that that's sort of the mentality of all wrestlers. And they get to come and, pick and choose what they do, and that's fun, and you never know where they're going to show up. As it relates to the companies, I think that's just something that has to slowly evolve and play out, and make sure that everyone trusts each other, and make sure that everyone understands that we all just want this to be, an opportunity for everyone to succeed. And on April the 6th, you're going to get your first taste of that when Impact Wrestling faces Lucha Underground at WrestleCon in New Orleans, and we'll all be together. Everyone will be under one roof at the Sugar Mill Factory, and you can still get tickets at WrestleCon.com. And we'll see how this all works out. I know there's already been talks about doing some things with places in the United Kingdom. You may have seen, well, you may not have seen it, but our fans in the UK may have seen a Facebook post asking, who would you like to see us work with in the United Kingdom? And it's exciting for the fans.
Excellent, absolutely. And speaking of exciting for the fans, it's the next big pay-per-view that's going to be happening just coming up real soon, actually, next month. It's Redemption. Thoughts going into the big Redemption pay-per-view?
Well, we know the main event, Austin Aries versus Alberto El Patron, first time ever for the World Championship. I'm certainly excited for that. I often say that you never know what's going to happen when Impact goes live, because we don't have those opportunities all the time. So when we do, I think that we make the best of them, the most of them. You see surprises, you see returns. And to me, that's what's fun about being a wrestling fan, is not knowing who's going to show up and what happens when they do.
Absolutely. Hey, I wanted to give you just one little praise, and then I'll let you off the phone. The preview show that you guys put together for Crossroads was so good. I was actually typing on social media that I think that it's going to be difficult for the show to actually be better than the preview show, because the preview show was so well put together. So tip of the hat and kudos to that, because that was a heck of a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, thank you. That was, again, the team in Nashville, Kevin Sullivan, I mentioned Eric Tompkins, Jimmy Long, everyone else that's a part of that production team, Andrew Thomas, Kenny Smith. Now I have to mention them all because I'll be sad if they read this or listen and they don't get mentioned. So Ben and Dan with graphics and everyone else involved heavily with what we do. That was just something that we wanted to do to see, hey, if we do a preview show for Crossroads, how's that going to look? I think tomorrow we're actually going to shoot the preview show for Redemption and, these bigger impacts that, feel like pay-per-views, should they get their preview shows and things like that. So, I mean, it's fun. It gets the viewers involved. You like it. It made you want to watch the show more. And I think the Crossroads did live up to the hype and the effort that was put behind it.
I agree. I lied. I'm going to make this my last question. What is the best wrestling theme song currently?
Oh, Ishimori's is so good, isn't it? Mothball is the band. I've been trying to interview them on ImpactWrestling.com. Sanjay and I have talked about how great it would be if they came and played live at Impact. Mothball has certainly caught the attention of all of us in Nashville and as spread out as we all are.
Excellent. All right. I'll let you go. Thank you so much for your time today, and I'll be posting this probably by Friday evening. So I'll get this out there and typed up, and I'll send it to Ross to maybe report back to you. Who knows?
Cool. Thanks, James. I appreciate it.
This is the Wrestling Epicenter. For over 15 years, we've brought you the top names in professional wrestling for exclusive interviews. Everybody you see here has been interviewed by our site. But we're more than just interviews. So be sure and check out WrestlingEpicenter.com for news, results, information, and of course our store. WrestlingEpicenter.com, your #1 source for wrestling information.